Could a federal judge be directly responsible for a catastrophic attack on the heart of American power? President Trump is issuing an unprecedented public warning, directly challenging U.S. District Judge Richard Leon over his decision to halt construction on a massive White House ballroom and rooftop drone base. Trump isn't just disagreeing, he's accusing the judge of playing games with America's security, risking the lives of millions for the sake of a ridiculous lawsuit brought by a highly litigious woman whose stroll might be inconvenienced. Before we dive into this high-stakes showdown, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in U.S. politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow and ensures you don't miss out on critical updates like this one. Now, let's break down what's really going on. Trump is pushing hard for a $400 million project that he claims is vital for national security. He's dubbed it the drone port at the White House ballroom, touting it as potentially the most sophisticated facility of its kind anywhere in the world. He envisions it safeguarding Washington, D.C. for generations to come. But U.S. District Judge Richard Leon issued an injunction halting above-ground construction of the planned ballroom, citing concerns about Trump's legal authority to proceed without congressional approval. This decision, however, has been met with fury from the president. Trump's rhetoric on Truth Social was blistering. He's directly calling out Judge Leon, urging him to stop playing games with America's security, and demanding the dismissal of a lawsuit he describes as an embarrassment to our country. He's adamant that the plaintiff, whom he paints as a serial plaintiff with absolutely no standing, is causing immense harm. The president even went so far as to warn the judge that he would be held responsible if an attack hits the White House, stating, "If anything happens, he will be held responsible for the death and destruction caused to our country." The context here is crucial. The lawsuit was initially brought by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, a congressionally chartered nonprofit organization. They argue that the proposed 90,000-square-foot ballroom would dwarf the historic White House complex and represents a broader fight over presidential authority, security spending, and the preservation of historic federal buildings. Trump, on the other hand, claims the current White House entertainment spaces are inadequate for hosting large events of up to 1,000 people securely. He's detailed extensive security features, including titanium fencing, hardened roofing, special glass, and underground facilities, emphasizing that the roof itself is designed for military use and capable of withstanding a direct attack, with a massive drone capacity and a design that's drone-proof. Adding to the urgency, the Justice Department has been actively pressing Judge Leon to lift the injunction. They've pointed to recent events, including a shooting outside a White House checkpoint earlier this month, as stark evidence of the need for enhanced security measures. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche echoed Trump's sentiments in a recent court filing, stating that the injunction, granted for the benefit of a strolling woman with no standing, must be immediately vacated. He highlighted recent attacks against President Trump's life, including 2 attempts in less than a month, as further justification for dismissing the suit. The gunman in the checkpoint shooting was ultimately killed by officers. An appeals court had previously put Leon's initial order on hold, allowing construction to continue until June, but the legal battle is far from over. Leon has yet to rule on the Justice Department's latest request to dissolve the injunction and dismiss the case. So, what does this all mean? We have a clash between presidential claims of urgent national security needs and a judge's mandate to uphold legal authority and process, potentially against the backdrop of historical preservation concerns. On one side, President Trump is framing this as a battle for the very safety of the nation's capital, warning of dire consequences if his defenses are not allowed to be built. He's projecting an image of a president fighting against bureaucratic hurdles and frivolous lawsuits to protect his citizens. On the other side, Judge Leon is upholding a principle of law, that major construction projects, especially those with significant implications for federal property and spending, require proper legal authorization, potentially including congressional approval. The National Trust for Historic Preservation is acting as a watchdog, attempting to prevent what they see as an encroachment on historic integrity and potentially overreach of executive power. The potential outcomes are significant. If the injunction is lifted and construction proceeds, Trump will have achieved a major victory in asserting executive authority and pushing forward his security agenda. However, critics will likely continue to question the legality, cost, and necessity of such a massive undertaking, potentially leading to further legal challenges or political fallout. If the injunction stands or the lawsuit is ultimately successful in halting the project, it would represent a substantial check on presidential power and a victory for those prioritizing historical preservation and congressional oversight. This could set a precedent for future executive actions. The people most directly affected are not just those who would use the ballroom, but all American citizens whose security and tax dollars are on the line. It also impacts the public perception of the presidency and the judiciary, whether they are seen as protectors of national interest or obstacles. So what do you think about this? Is President Trump justified in his urgent warnings about national security, or is this an example of executive overreach that needs to be checked by the courts? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. This is a developing story with profound implications for the balance of power, national security, and the very landscape of Washington, D.C. Well, continue to follow it closely.